there would be dudes in here telling me their shoes are worth $400 when, you know what I'm saying? Because it's there's no set marketplace to base it off of. So it's very easy for me to just pull up the phone and be like, yeah, look, if you were to sell them here, this is what you would make. Like, this is why I'm offering this amount. We're I'll even tell people, like, we're probably going to sell this at this, like, this is the amount we'll sell this at. Yeah. So, like, it's kind of nice having, like, a set marketplace to base yourself off of. Obviously, for a lot of stores, that lowers their profit margin. But at the same time, sneakers are so mainstream now that there's way more customers to make up for that difference.
Welcome. Today we're on another episode of Behind the Red, and today we're in Curated, Ohio, in Canton, Ohio. And in front of me, to the left, we have VystKicks. Then we got Bailey, owner of Curated, over here. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, pleasure to be here.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, sir. So how's the day going?
Chilling.
Yes,
sir.
It's a good day. Fridays good day. Are always a good day.
You know what I mean? It's hot outside. Weather's nice. You feel me? Might get into something after.
We might. All right,
Mr. Forward over here. He's been talking.
Hey, we might be doing something later, you know.
All right. So I'll just dive right into it. How'd you guys get into sneakers? Let's just start there. The basics, you know. Let's go with you.
So I played basketball like growing up.
Okay.
Middle school, I was working for my grandparents on their farm.
Yeah.
And it was kind of just like I started like saving up some money from working, started buying shoes off eBay. That's really what initially got me into it.
Gotcha.
And then like got me into selling. Like I started going to shows like 2015, 14, 15.
One of the OGs.
Yeah, like my parents were driving me to shows like when I was 15.
Yeah,
I would just like take like whatever's in my collection at that time, which was like 20 pairs, something like that. Okay. Set up on a table and just trade all day.
Word.
So that kind of got me in that like, I don't know, into negotiating, like entrepreneurial spirit.
The hustle.
Yeah.
The hustle. Okay.
For sure.
I feel you. How'd you start?
So I've always been once a year you get a pair of shoes.
Word.
You beat the hell out of them, and then they become yard shoes. Then you get a fresh pair at the beginning of the school year. Middle school, everyone was wearing like the Osiris's and like skate shoes and stuff. So that's kind of when it started with the whole there's cool shoes out there other than just the basic stuff.
Yeah, I remember that. That was a hell of a
And then I got to high school and I had my one pair of skate shoes. They were like these blue, I think the brand was called like S or something like that.
Yeah.
And all my buddies were like, you got to get Jordans. They're like, you can't wear these around us. Like, we're going to get you into Jordans. And I had my one buddy, I'd go over to his house. We'd sit on, Nike's website, Jordan's website, and we would look at shoes. That's when I found out about the Kobe's. At the time, I think it was like Kobe's 5, 6, and 7s were real popular.
Yeah.
And then you had like the LeBrons, which would have been like the 6, 7s, and 8s.
Yeah.
So like right around that era. And then that's when, I started learning about shoes. And then I believe sophomore year of high school, I saved up enough money, went to the local mall, and I bought a pair of the LeBron 8s. They were the post-secondaries, the Miami Heat color edition.
The white and reds?
They were the black and reds.
The black and reds. Okay.
So I walked in, I bought that. That was my first pair. And then ever since then, every year after that, I always bought a pair of LeBrons. And then it just took off from there.
Word.
Yeah.
So when did you start seeing the value in sneakers? You know what I mean? Like, you're like, okay, this is clearly like a business. I feel like no one's really like kind of decided to take serious yet, because this is like what year, like 2012, 2015-ish, would you say?
For me, it would have been 2011 and 2014. That's when I was in high school.
Got you.
So when I was a freshman, either a junior or a senior, I noticed that he was always buying like the LeBrons and KDs and the Kobe's and Jordans. He's always posting them on like Facebook or Snapchat. I started noticing that like he was buying them and selling them, and then like with Twitter at the time, that's when Nike would tweet links, and then you'd click on the link to buy the shoes. So I remember like following that Twitter account, and like the LeBron 10 Corks came out. I remember the link went live, and I was like, Dad, can I borrow your credit card to buy these shoes?
Yeah.
And he's like, we're not buying $200 shoes. And like that day, they were going for like a band on like eBay, and that's when I kind of realized like, okay, like there's actually shoes out there that like, they come out once a week and then they never come out basically again, and that there was a market for it. So that's when I first learned about it.
Okay.
And then I started working at a Finish Line 2015, like May of 2015, and I worked there for the summer, you know, from May to the end of summer to when I went to college.
Yeah.
And that summer, it was the same 3-4 people coming into the store buying the same shoes.
So you knew.
So right then and there, I'm like, okay, so this is what a reseller is. Like, this is what they do. And that's when, at the time, you had the shoe plugs where, like, you had to go to a reseller to get the Jordans because no one else knew how to get them.
Yeah.
And then I think I met you, I think maybe like a year later after that, going to like SneakerCon. So you were already in the resale business way before I was.
Yeah.
And so seeing you at the show, and you had, you know, your 1 or 2 tables with like all these crazy shoes everywhere.
And this is young Bailey. Like, is this pre-beard?
Yeah,
Pre-beard, Bailey?
This is definitely pre-beard.
Word.
Yeah.
This was my first SneakerCon. I was 16.
Okay, word.
And that was like really when I realized that it was like a business, because like I really went into it. It was always personals, and I was literally just trading up to see like what I could get next.
Got you.
So like I remember that day I got red carpet LeBron 7s, and that was like at the time that was my grail. Like
Word.
that I bought that shoe, I paid like $235 for or something like that. Like I was like, looking back at it, it's such a small amount of money for a shoe in comparison to what stuff sells for nowadays.
The market's different, man.
But like at the time, that was like, dude, my whole day, like my whole year was made because I finally had that shoe. But yeah, that was the day that I realized that there was really a business to it, because like I was going to like the Start Got Souls and stuff before that.
Yeah.
But like I wasn't like making profit. Like I was just taking home better shoes.
Yeah.
So like I didn't really see the money in it. And then I went to that SneakerCon that day, and I probably sold like, I probably did like 40 to 50 deals that day.
Damn.
And
That's
I came to the show. I came to the show with like, it was 52 shoes.
Yeah.
And $100, and I left with like 55 shoes and $2,300. So like I was just working. Like I was just doing trades,
the
like
best deal possible.
2-for-1 trades, like selling stuff, all that kind of stuff. And then like I was right next to, I don't know if you're familiar with Ilthy, Cleveland brand.
I'm not familiar.
Yeah, it's a Cleveland brand, but I was right next to those guys. Those guys were all super cool. It was just like, it was me and 2 of my buddies, and we were all 316 just betting at SneakerCon, so it was crazy. But yeah, we were super cool with those guys, and they bought a few pairs off of me. But like that day, it was like, that was the first time I'd ever really bought a shoe that wasn't my size.
See, that's when you know you make the transition. You're like, this has to get sold.
Yeah, with full intention to flip it. And like, I was trading for stuff in different sizes, but I remember I bought a pair of like the Bape Puma disc.
Throwback.
Yeah, so like I had a pair on my table, sold it to the Ilthy guys, and I sold it to them for like $280.
Word.
And then I bought a pair, like it was like the dude was standing up in front of my table. I bought a pair for $120, like a clean used pair. Took it back, sold it directly to them for $240, and I was like, okay, like this is crazy. Like I made $120 in a minute. I'm like, dude, like this is so crazy.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, like at that point, I really realized that I'm like, this is a business. Like that, like I never looked at it like that before. But coming home, like the drive home, I'm like, what did I do today? Like I made more money today than I made working for my grandparents this past 2 weeks. Like,
so is that when you started to like think of it like, okay, I'm gonna take this more seriously on the aspect of like, if I put my all into this, it can become something great?
I mean, I was 16, so I was just happy. Like, I was just like, this is super cool. Like, I have this much money now. Like, I can go buy more shoes.
Yeah, for a 16-year-old, though? That's
that's my thing. I was like, at the time, I was not looking at this for, oh, yeah, maybe one day I'll own a store. It was just like, oh, maybe next week I'll get to buy, like, something even crazier.
Yeah. Or, like, it's like the upgrade.
Maybe the next show I go to, I have some cash to bring with me now, so I can, like, approach it a little differently. It was never, like, I never thought of it as, like, an actual, like, business until, like, I really, like, got out of high school. And then I was, like, I would look at how much I made on certain shoes. And, like, I started looking at it like that then. But, like, at that point, it was, like, dang, I can actually make some money off of this.
Yeah, you started adding it up, like, okay, this pays more than I would if I got a freaking, like, BS, like, food or serving job, you know what I mean? That most like, 16-year-olds get, you know?
And that's my thing. I was just having so much fun doing it that I really didn't even look at it for the money. I'm just, like, it's not like I broke it down, like, oh, yeah, if I broke it down like this, I made this much an hour for this much time I put into it. I was just, like, I'm going out here having fun, and I get to make money while I do it. So it's just, like, it's whatever. I'm going to go do as much as I can and just enjoy it.
No, I feel you. Then it's, like, the sneaker events just have, like, that energy of, like, culture, you know what I mean? It's just, like, it's really, when you go to, like, SneakerCon or even, like, Sneaker Freaks or even the smaller ones, it's just crazy because you never really get, like, a crowd of people into, like, the same thing like that, you know what I mean?
Well, and I think back then it was more consumers than it was resellers.
Exactly.
So, and nowadays everyone resells, so it's kind of like the culture's definitely changed a lot.
Yeah.
But like it was just so much fun because I would say 10% of the people there solely like they just did it to make money.
Yeah,
where there was 90% of us that were there to buy stuff for ourselves.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and that's where I think it's changed a lot lately because it's kind of like evolved into something where it's like I would say 80% of the people that are into shoes look at it financially.
Yeah, especially at this point because it costs so much. It's almost like they feel like to spend this kind of money on it, they have to make money on it.
Yeah,
almost,
like because everybody's like, oh, if I can't get my size, I'll at least get another size and then size swap it.
Yeah.
Because that's cheaper than paying $300 for my pair if I just have to get this size and then add $40-$50 with it. So that's like a lot of people look at it like that nowadays.
Do you guys feel that? I feel like this, but do you guys feel like StockX personally messed up the culture? Because correct me if I'm wrong, there was no other app or any kind of data that existed prior to StockX to show you how much a specific shoe's worth. You know what I mean? Like prior to this, it was almost like you kind of have to really know what this is worth. It's like you could really charge someone like $400 for a pair of like UNC 4s if they don't know what it is, but they might know what it is and pull up on StockX. Now they're like negotiating for you. You know what I mean?
So StockX actually pulled eBay's data. That's how they got created.
Is that legal?
I don't.
Like it was campless before it was StockX.
Right. So it was like around the 2015, 2016 era, because it was right when I realized you could resell. So what I did was, like I said, I started working at Finish Line in May, did the summer, saw that resellers existed, went to my second year of college, and that's when I realized I entered a Foot Locker raffle for a pair of foam posits, and I entered them at both malls. And I won both, put both pairs on eBay, and they sold. And that's when I realized you can make money. And within the next, I would say, like, from that September to January is when I found out about Campless, what he was saying, where you could get on the app. It was either an app or a website. I think it was a website. You made an account. You just punched in, like, what shoes you had and like what shoes you wanted. Yeah. And it kind of like showed everyone like your sneaker collection.
Really?
And
I've never heard of this before.
Could you put in what you
insane.
paid at the time or no? I don't think you
remember.
could.
I know I had it downloaded, but I don't think I really ever used it.
You basically just put in like your shoe collection, and then people could like kind of follow you to see like what shoes you had. And then I believe it was around like that winter when they converted to StockX and had a marketplace.
Gotcha.
And when that came out, like I said, they were tracking eBay's data of shoe sales to kind of get an idea of like what shoes were selling for and stuff. Because back then, that's what you used was either eBay or you just knew like what you could charge on top. And I mean, working at Finish Line and having an employee discount, I would say like either once a week or like once a month, I'd buy a shoe and flip it on StockX. Because at the time, no one knew what StockX was, and the prices of shoes on there were insane.
So you didn't start selling until StockX came out? Pretty much.
Was like, so I did I did about 2-3 sales on eBay, and then within the next 2-3 months is when StockX came about.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
If I look at my sales history, I think it's like December of 2015 or January 2016 was like my first
so
sale.
you're like 7 years in.
And that was when the all white Ultra Boosts were out. If you remember those,
they were Kanye, you couldn't freaking find them, bro.
Yeah, I think someone returned a pair to the store I was working at, and I'm like, I'm buying those.
Yeah.
Used my discount, threw it on StockX, and sold it like within like a day. And then that's when I, kind of realized that there was money to be made. But at the time, like, I still worked at Finish Line for like another year or two, and it was more so of just like, I'd sit in the back room and just scan like the boxes. And just look at StockX and compare like ask and bid. And I would just sit there and just hit sell now, go to the register, buy it with my discount, and then just go home and ship it out.
Smart.
Yeah.
That's smart. The original back door.
Yeah, because like the thing is like the stock rooms were so like disorganized that like a shoe would sit, like it would like get lost kind of, or like fall behind a shelf. But then when like the stock room guy would go through and do his cleans, it would come out, and like I think it was like every 3-4 months they would do like a seasonal sale.
Oh, sure.
Where it would be like, this is the sale price, we're gonna do 30% off.
Gotcha.
Well, then the employees got another 30% off, and these random items that have sat in the stockroom for like years were ringing up for like $10-$20 after like all the discounts. So like yin yang ones.
Yeah.
I was paying like $45 for those.
Damn, what were they going for?
They were like on StockX for like 100. So I was making like 40, 50 a pair at the time.
Yeah. Are those mids or those highs?
Those are highs.
Okay.
You look those up now, what? They're like $400 or $500, I think.
Damn, imagine holding them right now. Jeez, crazy. That's a check.
Every pair of ones is just astronomical now.
It was that from the last dance,
from that era, because like I feel like we were kind of taking those for granted at that time.
Yeah.
Like, I remember I bought my metallic red ones. I bought those on sale, like a Black Friday sale, for like $65.
You walked into a Villa.
Really?
Well, I got a pair. I don't think that was a Villa for those. That was like
one of the metallic navies you got was from a Villa. I remember. Yeah.
But like I was the navies might have been the reds though.
Yeah.
I bought a pair of reds and a pair of the white yin yangs off of. It was like I don't remember what exact site it was, but like one of like the like known like online shoe stores.
Yeah.
And like they didn't have any brick and mortar locations like around here or whatever. But like it was literally $65 a pair for metallic reds and for white yin yangs, and both of those shoes are like $400+ now.
Yeah,
and both my pairs are absolutely
long gone. I was gonna say they have to be at this point.
But they're like it was like so like looking like I've cooked both of those and I could sell them now for like low hundreds. Like I could still double my money on them.
It's still what do they call that? An asset, even though it's like beat. You know what I mean? So you sold before StockX or no?
He was way before.
I was just going to shows.
Got you. Because I've been in sneakers since like 2012ish, like the year of the fours, like before the year of the fours. So it's been a minute.
Yeah, and fours were right around that time.
Yeah. And it's like for me, I was really selling like heavily on eBay and doing meetups through like Instagram, like for the longest, because like I guess Columbus is like maybe a more populated area at the time, or was just maybe more hip to the sneaker scene. And I just remember like when StockX came out, it was just so much harder to like negotiate for like higher profit percentage, because there's literally someone just telling you like, I'm not paying more than this because it's right here. You know what I mean? And that like the first time I saw that, it kind of like pissed me off a little bit. I felt like I'm like they finally figured out the loophole.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I think the thing is with StockX, it is a huge convenience, but like it's a gift and a curse, I guess.
Yeah.
So like
and
for us now, for like being a store, it's nice because there's a set marketplace that I can pay based off of. And it's like I can be pretty consistent. Whereas if we were just going off random, like there would be dudes in here telling me their shoes are worth $400 when, you know what I'm saying? Because it's there's no set marketplace to base it off of. So it's very easy for me to just pull up the phone and be like, yeah, look, if you were to sell them here, this is what you would make. Like this is why I'm offering this amount. Or I'll even tell people like we're probably gonna sell this at this, like this is the amount we'll sell this at.
Yeah.
So like it's kind of nice having like a set marketplace to base yourself off of. Obviously, for a lot of stores, that lowers their profit margin. But at the same time, sneakers are so mainstream now that there's way more customers to make up for that difference.
That's a good point. That is a good point. And people are willing to pay the high now, which is kind of like crazy to think about.
Well, it's like it's not even necessarily people are willing to pay the high, because like stores in like LA and stuff like that, like they've always had to pay the high because that's what the stores are selling it for. And a lot of people don't want to buy shoes online because I mean there's some people that don't even trust any online resources.
Yeah, it's
so like
a real thing.
It kind of boils down to like people are gonna buy their shoes wherever they feel comfortable, and if it takes that amount of money to look fresh, then they're gonna do that.
Got you. So how do you feel like you structure your business based off knowing like how the market is?
I mean, so like obviously there is gonna be like a decent amount of stuff that we have to charge a little bit over market price for, but like I try to be as competitive as possible to where like if you're paying like $360 after StockX fees, it'll be like $350 in here.
Yeah.
So like I mean after our taxes, obviously you're still spending a little bit more.
Yeah.
But like at the end of the day, you get your shoe today. You don't have to wait on it. There's not the chance that it gets lost in shipping. There's a lot of convenience that comes along with shopping local. So like that's
and you build a connection of the bond of the next time.
Yeah.
Also, you know what I mean. You're like a regular in the store. At a certain point, you might just like really like someone where you're like, you know what, $5-10 off for this, just because you come here so much.
Yeah.
Or
and like that's a big thing. And then like another thing too is like a lot of people would rather than letting StockX make $50 off you, they'd rather just let the local store make $50 off you.
Yeah, that's at the point where I'm at too, honestly.
So, that's the thing. It's like, I mean, you kind of, obviously people can spend their money however they want to spend it, but like, it's one of those things you just have to weigh, like, what would you rather do? Would you rather spend a little bit more and support a local business, or would you rather spend less and like support a corporation?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people too that are like, they need a day of.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
true.
Like,
that's true.
They don't care what the price is. they're coming in, they're buying it because they need it that day of. They don't want to wait 2-3 weeks to get it.
So since you're like obviously more like online, you're brick and mortar, and you're more so like online, correct?
Right, yeah.
So how's your market? You know what I mean?
My market has changed a lot in the last 3 years.
Okay.
So when I first started, I mean, obviously StockX was a thing. I mean, you were a part of it too when we were, hitting the retail stores and stuff like that. I feel like what was that, 2018, I would say? Probably around like 2018. I mean, everyone knew about StockX, but like everyone would sell it like what that green price was or like just below it because it was like, I don't know, it was like kind of like a new thing. We were new sellers and we just wanted to kind of just build a clientele. And I just feel like as each year goes on, like obviously like the way people buy and sell changes. And each year it's different because we used to be able to buy shoes like dirt cheap. We'd be able to pull up StockX and show people what payout was, and we were getting it for below payout. And now, like, to be able to buy a shoe for under payout that's dead stock, like, it's unheard of. It's very rare. Yeah. Unless that person needs cash, like, that day to pay a bill or something. Other than that, it's very unheard of. Okay. And, like, even, like I said, when we were selling, we would sell, like, around that green number or below, and I feel like, 3 years later, as of today, I mean, we're selling above that green number, but I mean, obviously there's the tax and fees that people have to pay on the app. But
another thing that factors into that too is StockX never used to charge sales tax.
No, they didn't.
For outside.
But now they do though, right?
Yeah, now they charge sales tax and a processing fee, and they never used to charge. It used to just be a flat $13.95 shipping. Really? So literally, like whatever, like you could buy anything. It doesn't matter where you're at. Plus $14 is what you paid.
So there was
and
no
the seller
processing
ate the
fee, all
the
of
seller
the
still ate the regular fee. Yeah, but like you didn't have like if the green number was 320, you were paying 334 or whatever. Not if the green number's like 320, you're paying like
360, 370. You're like, God damn, it's another 50, 60 bucks in fees.
You're right. It used to just be the seller fees. Now they're doing fees for both the seller and the buyer. Yeah. So they're double dipping.
Uncle Sam's cracking down. He said we got to make some kind of profits here. Okay.
Yeah. Which I mean, honestly, it makes sense because like the way that sales tax works, if you're based like technically they have sellers based in every state, so they have to charge sales tax in every state. Which at the time they were kind of getting away with it because the loophole was they're based in Michigan and New Jersey or whatever. So like they only had to charge sales tax to Michigan and New Jersey.
Based off of their yeah.
Damn. Another thing too, like when you're talking about pricing shoes, like having that app and having like other apps such as Goat and eBay to like look at to price. Yeah. It also just comes down to the shoe. Because there's shoes where the demand is just so high that like you don't even have to look at the apps, and if market crashes on that shoe, we can still sell it for the price that we've been selling at. Or, I mean, vice versa. If it, goes up, like people are still going to be willing to pay more than what we were charging before. Yeah. And it just, I mean, I'm sure you can agree with that.
Oh, yeah. Like, for example, like something like recently, like obviously Yeezy Slides just restocked. So, like, prices are way down. Well, like, I have tax-free on Goat.
Yeah. Oh, so, shit, really? Damn.
Yeah, like through the story or whatever. You like, you can get tax-exempt or whatever. But, yeah, so I've bought like 20 pairs of Yeezy Slides in the past 3 days off of Goat. Yeah. And just throwing in bids, paying ask on some of them just because it's like the convenience of being able to come to a store and buy a shoe rather than waiting a week or two to get it.
Seeing it online, yeah.
It's like, I mean, people are willing to pay that premium. Yeah. And especially with like Yeezy Slides and stuff like that where it's like, it's literally like not, you don't have to be into shoes to wear Yeezys and Yeezy Slides and stuff like that. Like a lot of people who aren't into shoes, like, will wear like the Yeezys, like the base, like 350s, like 700s.
It's easy.
Like
it's easy to like color coordinate type thing, and it's like such a basic looking like model, you know.
Yeah,
what I mean?
And then obviously like there's like people who aren't that into shoes, but will still wear like the Jordans.
Yeah.
But like I feel like you have to be someone into shoes to wear certain shoes that come out. Like I mean, people aren't coming in paying $1,000 like plus dollars for like a Travis Scott shoe or something like that if they're not into shoes. Yeah. But they'll come in and pay like $250 to $300 for a Jordan that came out recently.
Yeah, because it's like, not too much of a like extra bone to like throw out type of thing.
And it's crazy because like I never realized that it would be like that much of a difference when I like did open the store. But like how hard it is to sell like a $450 shoe versus a $300 shoe. Yeah. It is ridiculous. Like I probably sell like, I would say I sell 10 $300 shoes for every $400+ shoe we sell.
Really? So like $400 is like the mark where you notice it's like I'm really thinking about buying this.
It really like fours that have come out recently. Like StockX is up in the fours. Honestly, people half the time they still come in and complain about the price. They're like, oh, like I'm not paying $440 for this wide order of 4 because like there's so many like very comparable other Jordan models that are same that are 260, 280.
Yeah.
So it's really hard for them to justify a difference. Or like on top of that, like we do a lot of pre-owned sales. So like you come in, like there's like, let's say like we have a used white Oreo 4 at 260 and they were worn 5 to 10 times when the new pair is 440. Like so it's a pretty big discount for having a shoe that's been worn a few times.
I think another thing too is like once a shoe hits a certain price point, that's when people like stop kind of like caring about buying it. And
that's what I understand.
Like you said with retro 4s, a lot of the retro 4s in the last like year and a half are hitting that 400 range
and then falling off.
Once you're at that 400 range of buying a shoe, it's like, okay, well I can either go get the release that comes out this Saturday and pay someone in the twos, and that following Saturday get the next release. So I have a lot of people that like, even though I have those shoes in the $400 range, they'll pass on it because they know that they would rather buy 2 more Jordans back to back
instead of just that one shoe.
Instead of just that one. Plus at that price point, you're getting into like other shoes that are more hype, like the Off-Whites.
I thought about that with the Black Cat 4s. I did not know they were that expensive. I wanted a pair, and I'm like, how much are they? Probably like $350, maybe $380. I'm like, whatever. It's like $600-700, like five to $700. I'm like, what?
You could go get an Off-White.
You can get a Travis Scott or something, dude.
And that's way more exclusive than a Black Cat 4.
And that you're not even gonna double check to look if it's on his feet because it's such a blended in shoe. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, I don't know anyone who doesn't like Black Cats. Like, it seems like it's a very all-around leg shoe, but like, for that shoe to be selling for so much, and then on top of that, like, I mean, 2 years ago, I had 40 pairs of grade school.
Of Black Cats?
Yeah, and I sold them all for $200 a pair, and you look at StockX now, and they're like $950 for grade school.
That is like, let's open another store kind of cash out.
It's ridiculous. I think I did the math, and I literally missed out, like, potential profit was like, I think it was like 15,000. Like,
jeez.
It was a huge number.
Yeah. That's like, let's open up another store almost. Or like another
it's ridiculous. Which obviously, like, in that time, like, I've obviously made money in other places, but like, I mean, that'd have been a lot easier to sit 40 pairs of shoes in my closet.
I don't think anyone saw that coming.
No one did.
Because they sat. What they? I remember them sitting in
They were
January.
on shelves. They were on shelves.
Or no, they came out. Was it January or February?
Men's and grade school were both
on shelves.
It was like I think it was late January.
Same with the Brad 4s too. The Brad 4s were on shelves everywhere, man.
The Brad 4s were like All-Star Weekend, and like they were like
Brad 4s sold out.
They were like,
I saw him in Villa for the longest, man.
But that's the thing. Like, I was just talking to someone earlier today. Like, we have a dead stock size 10 Bread 4 right now.
Word.
$600.
I was gonna say it makes sense. Yeah.
And that's below StockX price.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the Jordan prices though are because of the COVID and the documentary.
Yeah. The documentary fucked up a lot of stuff, man. I was like,
I remember watching it and just seeing the prices just skyrocket because everyone's sitting at home
by the minute, bro. I'm like, the Chicago ones were already like, okay, you're like costing me. Now it's just like, all right. You know,
well, it's just all around ridiculous. But like for example, with those breads, like it was a few days after release day. One of my dudes that like he lives in PA or whatever, he was in Ohio. He sold me 10 pairs of Bread 4s at $217.50 a piece.
Damn.
So it was literally over our retail with tax. It was $4 over retail.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's pretty much retail.
Yeah.
Okay,
So like for me, like at the time, and then I sold them all for like $240 to $250 just on Facebook. Like it was just
a quick flip.
40, $40, like 30, $40. I'm like, all right, like I got them gone, no big deal. But yeah, looking back at that, like it's so crazy.
Yeah. My next question is, obviously we know we've been in the game for a minute. We see a lot of people sell shoes and they kind of just never sell shoes again. Yeah. You know, like some people's like pages just might die or they just might give up. So what do you think the reason for that is? And or the question after would be, how do you guys stay afloat?
So I've 2 answers to that.
Okay, so answer the first one.
The first answer is, you know, like you said, you see people who used to resell not active anymore.
Yeah.
I think they either found a new job and they're just like, okay, I'm done with shoes.
Less stress.
And I'm moving on, right?
Yeah.
So that's one option. The other option is the market, shoes, everything changes so fast. I mean, I've seen people come in within a month and leave within a month because it's just like they see all these other people buying and selling shoes, and they're like, oh, I can do it. You know, it's quick money. But then once they realize how much work you have to put in,
it is not easy.
And
it's not easy.
Now that there's more and more people doing it, I mean, each shoe is almost like less money each time. I mean, not every time, but it just seems
it's
like
oversaturated. You know what I mean?
So it's just there's a lot more factors into it. So a lot of people, I think, get either stressed out or tired of it, and obviously dealing with customers day to day, or like even like the new people that come in with StockX. They're like, oh, I can buy this shoe. I won the raffle. I'm going to go buy the shoe and sell it on StockX.
Yeah.
Well, there's 100,000 other people that are doing it
the
that
exact
day,
same
and
thing.
that market just tanks. And by the time they pick up their shoe and go to sell it, they're like, oh, I'm only making $5-10. Like, this isn't worth my time.
Yeah.
And they just leave. Another answer too. I think other people, like, I think once you're in it long enough, you know, you kind of find a routine of like what you need to be doing. And I've seen people who had active pages and, you know, they're posting every day, they're still buying, they're still selling, and their page just goes ghost, but they're still out there still buying and selling.
Yeah, they're just not posting like that.
They just decided one day, like, I'm not going to use social media anymore. They're out there selling somewhere, but they're still, I mean, we'll go to sneaker shows, we'll still see them out there.
Gotcha. It's just not as like, it's not like for the brand at this point almost, in a way
they
you
were
would say.
working on building a brand, I guess, and at the point, and then now they're just kind of
a guy that sells shoes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I feel like at one point everybody was trying to build a brand, but it kind of fell away from that with StockX. Because I think before that, like before StockX, it was really like, I mean, reselling sneakers was really based on the person you were and the.
It was like a family at first.
In high school,
dude.
you'd always talk about that one dude. He has it. It's like today's reselling world. It's like, hey, who has these shoes? And you could find like 15 people within like an hour
for the same price, or even
and
like
even
you know
like
what
sneaker
I mean?
shows. You're talking about. You know, when you first were going to shows and you were saying what about 10% of the people were selling and everyone else was going to buy.
Yeah.
Now you go to these shows and I mean, you could do like one solid lap. And you're going to see about like 10 tables that all have the same stuff. At least 10 tables.
I noticed that too. It is like
even though it's all different sellers, you'll notice like the first row will be Dunks, the second row will be Jordan 1s, the top row is Jordan 4s.
And it's all these same like, Dunks though, you know what I mean?
It's all the same colors and everything.
Within the last like 3 months of what released usually.
Now don't get me wrong, I mean that's the hot item that sells and if that's your bread and butter, that's your bread and butter. But like, I mean this last sneaker con in Cleveland we had like every table looked identical.
It was the same. It was
like,
kind of sad, man.
You could walk into the event as a consumer and be like, these are the 3 shoes I need to buy today. Walk up to the first table, buy your 3 shoes. You're like, I'm done for the day. And just walk right out the door.
Yeah.
Because you're like, every other table has the same stuff, so I don't need to walk around.
Yeah.
Whereas when me and you first were going, like, I mean, when you originally were going to shows, everyone's table was different. And every time I saw this kid, his shelves were different.
Yeah, you had dudes with Nike basketball. You had dudes with Jordans. You had dudes with the old Air Maxes. Like,
you had people with like I remember Red Octobers were like it wasn't that hard to find them at first. You know what I mean? Like you could still probably get Red Octobers in like 2014 for like $2,000. Yeah, $3,000. Yeah, you know, and $2,000 for a shoe at that point was like, bro, are you serious? What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Now $2,000's like
it was unheard of.
It was.
Honestly,
yeah.
Like I would say, like in my friend group, I think all of us have spent over $1,000 on a pair of shoes before.
At that point, yeah. Like for a personal type thing,
I don't think any of us have I think all of us have spent at least $1,000 on a pair of shoes.
Yeah, same.
And it's ridiculous to think about because it's like, dude, like I used to think that $1,000, like every shoe that was my grails were usually less than $1,000.
Yeah.
Like between 500 and 1,000.
Yeah,
but
I actually had a friend hit the Red Octobers for retail.
Oh, what did he do with? He sold them. Probably.
He sold them. The Nike.
Did he hold them for a few years?
No. So I mean, it was the same person I told you who I saw who was like reselling shoes, right?
Yeah.
So he hits the Red October. I still remember the day. The link
Lucky
goes live.
bastard,
I'm clicking on it. I don't have a credit card. Parents aren't home. I'm like, whatever. I can't do anything.
So it was like in car. So it wasn't as hard to get as you would think, right?
Right. And I mean, there at the time
they took like what 8 or 9 minutes to sell out, or
something like that. And I mean, they had bots back then, but like no one knew about them. No one knew how to use them.
Set up to run.
And like Nike used to do this thing where like they would tweet the link, so people made Twitter bots so that when Nike tweeted the link, it would click the link, it would check out. Well, then Nike started doing this thing where like it would post a picture. And it had like, was it a code or a password that was like hidden in the picture? So when you click the link, then you have to type that in.
Yeah.
But I remember this dude, he hit on him. I think he posted on Instagram, and I think he just posted on Instagram that he got him, right?
Word.
To this day, there was like, I think he still has the post up, but like, there was so many random people that just right away were just like, I'll give you 1,000, I'll give you 1,500, I'll give you $2,000, like off the rip. And he at the time like was like, I don't know what to do with these. So he got them in. Once they came in from Nike, he put them on his feet, got on his couch and said the Kanye lyrics of the Red Octobers on the couch.
Yeah.
And like you look at the comments, 2,500, 2,400, 2,600, and he sold them to somebody on it like through Instagram from that just that post. And I think honestly, I think he was a part of like Nike Talk, which were those forums and stuff.
Yeah.
So I kind of think that's where some of the traffic
Throwback to
came from.
Nike Talk, man.
Yeah.
That was like
I was never a part of that, but I
was a part of that,
it.
bro. Nike Talk was the fucking GOAT, dude. Oh my god.
But I bring that up to him all the
back
time, and I'm like,
man.
you know how much those go for now? And he's like, yeah.
What are like 10 grand plus?
Something like that.
Jeez, man. Jeez.
Yeah, they're like newest, ridiculous news.
Yeah.
Like,
They were
like 15 to 20.
Weren't they? They were 150, right? After tax, or 170?
They were like 220 retail.
220?
Yeah,
Right.
they were like the most
225.
expensive
It was
shoe
like
at the time.
Yeah, 225 or 250 maybe.
Yeah. Because remember, everyone's like, you're going to spend $250 for a fucking sneaker? It's Kanye. It's not even basketball.
Yeah,
Then,
that was
man.
a crazy time.
Yeah, dude.
And then like all the celebrities are posting the Red Octobers on their feet, like Zendaya, Chance the Rapper, all their like family and friends pairs. That was the first time I really realized like the kind of power in social media, like for sneakers, you know what I mean? It was like the first time you really felt like you needed something almost.
Yeah,
you know?
and like pages used to like track celebrities wearing sneakers.
That was the thing.
Now it's just so common that like everyone has sneakers that like they kind of gave up on that. But like once a week, I don't know if it was Complex or who, but they would always be like, these are the top 10, sneakers that we spotted out.
Yeah. I remember that it would be like Wale would always be on there. It'd be like Fabulous.
And it was
Wale's the GOAT.
OG.
He's
Yeah, but like a lot of like I'm pretty sure there was like a Twitter or Instagram account that was just celebrity
kicks.
Yeah, just like celebrity kicks.
Man.
It sounds complex. Sounds right though. I feel like
or sneaker something. Sneaker news.
Sneaker news is a thing. Yeah.
That used to be like, especially like early like 2014, 2015. It was like a lot of that.
Or remember early 2014, 2015 when everyone was taking sneaker pics?
Yeah.
You know the classic like the man
Camera
throwback
on the
ground. You got your friend posted all the way up underneath.
Or the outfit grids.
The outfit grids?
Yeah.
I remember. I know what you're talking about.
No one
I
does
do.
outfit grids anymore.
Yeah.
You have your shoes, you'd have your outfit, your accessories, you throw it up on the ground.
Man.
No one does that anymore either.
The throwback. So I'm going to ask this question. What was your biggest sneaker loss in history? That you like the worst deal you've done, I'll say. I feel like we all, as business owners, we're all like, okay, I probably shouldn't have done that. Or you look back and like further down the line, it's just worth something crazy.
I mean, mine would be the Black Cats probably.
Really? Yeah, I can understand that.
Because just like I'm very, very like meticulous to where like I never want to lose money. Like if anything, I try my best to like break even. Make like
worst
$10.
case scenario.
But like worst case scenario, I think I've lost money on shoes like maybe 5 to 10 times.
Word. Smart man.
Yeah.
Smart man.
Like, I just like most of the time if it's something that there's a risk that I'm like not gonna make money on it.
You're cool.
I'm not gonna sell it quick. I'll pay low enough to kind of pad myself.
Yeah. You know,
all right, if I have to get rid of this, another reseller pay me $20 more than I paid.
Got you.
I'm kind of the same way with him.
Okay.
With the whole like making sure what I'm buying I know is kind of like.
It's just about being logical, pretty much. It's like not getting that gambly, risky feeling on like these might do
these midnight Navy 6s.
Yeah.
So like they're not reselling.
Yeah.
And I have a pair, and I mean I can either return it, which I hate doing, or if I sell it to somebody to take a loss, I'll use that money and go buy a pair of 4s tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I know the 4s I'm gonna make at least
60. Yeah.
At least 60.
What are they going for now? The militaries are they going
They're
like
really
for 3?
Low. They're low 3s right now, but give it. I mean, tomorrow morning 11 o'clock they'll probably be 350 on stock.
Okay, got you.
Because it's one of those like that's how it always is with releases nowadays. It's like everybody gets their L's on like sneakers and stuff.
They're like, fuck it, let me just buy after
and then
third
StockX
party.
just shoots up $30-$40.
Yeah.
My biggest loss I think is got scammed. Yeah, that happened.
Fake. Or just like ghosted.
Sent the dude money. He just ghosted me. I was buying off-white lot dunks. So like the dude had
which dunks? Which don't tell me
it would have been the lots, whatever. I forget what numbers they were.
The 1 or the 50. The
no,
black and
it was
white?
somewhere in between.
Okay. Gotcha.
But good prices, and it was like it wasn't like $200 for each one. It was like I think I was paying like $780 for both of them or something at the time. I think they were going for $4 or $5.
Okay.
But the account that I bought them from, he had all the refs and everything, and like they were recent, but here to find out he got hacked like the week before I sent the money. So like everyone I was hitting up was like, oh yeah, he's cool.
Yeah.
Good.
So you even did the background.
I background checked before I sent the money because I did business with them. So that was probably my biggest loss, and then probably something that like I regret like Mocha 1s, I had like between 30 to 40 men's pairs on release day, and I hit retail on all of them, and it was like, obviously I wanted to sell them because, you know, they're going for what, I think they were 350, 330, 350, so making at least 100 a pair. Well, I mean, look at them now, they're what, 450, 600,
like
depending on the size.
Bare minimum at this point.
So I mean, if I would have bought those and sat on them, I mean, I obviously would have made more money.
We even sat for just like 6 months type of thing, because they went up pretty quick. I want to say the Mochas
pretty quick.
Pretty quick.
They were at 400.
It was right after Christmas.
Within 6 to 8 months.
No, it was around Christmas. Because everyone was still getting
when
this.
When did they drop?
They dropped in
March.
October.
October, really?
No, Mocha's dropped in October or November, and then right after Christmas, because everyone was buying them for Christmas gifts, and then everyone had Christmas money. But then right after Christmas was over, they plateaued, and they didn't move for like 6 months.
So they were at like 4, probably.
Yeah, they went up to 4.
I mean, shoot, they went from 3, like, what, they were at 3, right?
I know I was selling pairs for 330, 350.
Damn, that's crazy to look back and see what some stuff was going for.
In a couple months.
Word.
There's so many shoes that like we could tell you about where we bought them and sold them, and then we look back and it's like, okay, we should have held them. And then there's shoes that we bought a bunch of that were like, we're gonna sit on these and hold them, and it just went nowhere. I mean, reverse spread lows.
I thought those were gonna go.
Grade school Jordan 1
You were hyping that up so much in the group chat. He's like, everybody, cop.
They were going crazy. Every pair that came out,
those
every color that came out, it was going. What, it was like 120, 150, and within a month it was at 200. So I'm like, all right, this pair's coming out. I'm like, we can get them. We're buying in on them. Everyone's buying in on them. Bro, they haven't moved. We're going on year 2 and they haven't moved.
So you still have them?
I just sold my. Nope, wrong. Because I have 2. I have 1 or 2 here, but I'm down to like my last 1 or 2 pairs.
At least you stuck it out through the storm, though. You know what I mean?
Either some pairs I made a little bit of money, and then some pairs I've like just either broke even or just lost a little bit.
Got you.
But that was.
So with sneakers, I feel like to have a successful business, you have to make enough money to be able to fail. Sometimes, am I wrong?
With any business.
Yeah. Like, because it's like I feel like this market's kind of. It's like up and down, you know what I mean, and it has its own like clientele. And
I mean, I feel like it's one of those things. Like once you've kind of built up like a good size inventory, like you can afford to like have slow periods. But like I feel like for the people that they have to sell shoes to pay their bills, they put themselves in a position where like they can't afford to lose money sometimes.
I got you. There's nothing on retainer.
Yeah. So like that's my thing is like I kind of just like. I mean, especially like we've been open for almost a year now. So like I've built up my inventory to where like if I need to dump a few things, it's not gonna kill my inventory.
Got you.
Like we still have a good size selection, and like honestly, like our expenses aren't that high. So we like I never really have like there's no scenario where I'd be put in like a position where I needed to come up with like $6,000 by like in like a week, you know what I'm saying? Like there I might have to come up with like $1,000 or $2,000, but like usually that's pretty doable in a week. So like it's not like there's never really like random expenses that pop up. Like that's why I try to keep my expenses lower now.
Okay, smart.
But, like if I were to go into like a mall space or something like that would change, where it's like I don't know, it's almost like more higher stakes just because your expenses go up so much, your fixed costs for like running your business and everything go up. So it's like it's definitely riskier and something like that. But like I feel like if you put yourself in a position where like you have a big enough inventory or you have like enough money just overall like diversified in your investments in shoes, like you should be pretty good.
You're not ever gonna be on crunch time, which is like the worst thing to be on.
I feel like the biggest thing is just having a following. And not saying like the number of followers,
like social media wise.
No, just like a following, like you know that you can go and buy something, and you know that someone that follows you or someone who is in contact with you will either buy it.
And I want to get to that point, dude, because it's like, you know, when you post something, you're gonna have at least a certain amount of people hitting you up. But like my page has only been open for probably like 7 months now, even though I've been selling shoes for the longest. But I just recently tried to like take it more serious, and I've noticed that like I'm gonna have a decent amount of followers, but it's like they're not like the clientele yet. You know what I mean?
And that's what you like. Once I got into the store, I kind of realized like what your customers actually want. So like they like obviously like foam runners, Yeezy slides. Like those are like the obvious ones. Like obviously every store needs that foam runners and Yeezy slides.
I didn't think foam runners really sold like that. People really buy foam runners like that.
People love foam runners because they love them because not everyone has them, but the people that they see on social media have a lot. Like a lot of them have them.
Yeah.
So like you see like I mean and Kanye wears them. Like people like generally want the Yeezys that Kanye wears. So like it's one of those things that people gravitate towards the foam runners now.
No, I feel you. It's like the fashion icons kind of like, I guess, making his statement on what to wear next. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, anybody can go get money and buy as many shoes as they want and get a retail space. But it just comes down to like you actually have to have, you know, a following, and you actually have to be able to have, you know, the customer service and actually be able to interact and get people into your store.
So with that being said, I have two questions for like both of you guys. What made you want to go from kind of being like, I guess mainly like online and like local meetups to like an actual store? And then for you, it's like, what do you want to open up a store at a certain point? Or are you cool with like the whole online thing?
As of right now, I'm cool with the whole online thing.
I feel you. Yeah. I feel you. So what about you?
I mean, it's really just one of those things. It's like I graduated last spring. So I got to a certain point where it was like, I really like thought that I had to open a store to really like push myself to make real money. If that makes sense. Like I felt like if I was like selling locally, I would just be kind of lazy.
I understand
and like
that.
not put a lot of time into it and just do what I had to do to get by.
Yeah.
So like I probably would end up getting a full-time job if I didn't open a store. Like coming out of college.
Yeah.
So like it was one of those things. It was like, and then on top of that, there's always kind of been a vision, like ever since I was like young getting into sneakers, I loved going to stores. And it was one of those things like I always wanted to go to a store. Like it was like, I mean, if I was in a city that had a store, I was going. Like if it was always like, I just wanted, like I loved being around it so much.
The culture.
And obviously there's only so many, like there's so many chances you get to go to like a convention that you can be around it.
Yeah.
So like it was one of those things like I kind of wanted to create a space that like the kid version of me that got into shoes would love. Like if I was like 14, 15 years old, I'd be asking my parents to come here like every single week, maybe twice a week.
Word.
So like that's one of those things is like I kind of want to just provide the space that like the kid me or like the equivalent to that nowadays would be able to come to and enjoy like I would.
Now, leading off of that, like you also used to be a part of Shoe Dojo, correct?
Yeah.
So do you feel like that, like being like your first kind of like, all right, we're starting a business and learning from it, helped this one become more of what you wanted it to be?
I mean, I would say like to a certain extent, like that I learned a ton from Shoe Dojo. Like honestly, I probably learned more from Shoe Dojo than I learned in 4 years of college.
Yeah, field experience is a real thing.
And that was like 3 months of experience.
Yeah.
And it's really just like the grunt work. Like we went in, like I built all the shells, like we did like all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like just by hand, because like honestly at that point I was way too cheap to like hire in. Like
contractors and stuff.
I'll pay someone to paint, but after that, like I'm doing all the work.
No, I feel you.
Know what I'm saying? Like I got the tools to do it, might as well just do it myself.
Yeah.
So like stuff like that, like I learned a lot about just like the simple like just go in, like putting up shelves, like you know, it was just kind of like simple work like that. And then you kind of get to the point where you learn like inventory wise, like obviously we had a different like customer base there than we had here, but like overall we had a pretty diverse customer base there, so I could kind of gauge out like, okay, what can I get this and what can I sell it for?
Yeah.
Like what should I be paying for like shoes that are in this condition? If they're like if I can clean them, but they're not going to be perfect, and I think I could sell them for like 140.
Yeah.
How long is it going to take me to sell them? Like it's a lot of stuff that factored into that.
Like the downtime
and like that 3 months there kind of helped me get a vision of like, okay, like how would I ideally run a store if it was 100% mine, 100% my creative control?
Yeah.
So like that's what coming into this, I'm like, all right, I know what I can pay for stuff. I have a pretty good idea of what people are going to buy. Obviously, like that kind of changed a little bit once I got in here and like our customer base here started coming in, buying stuff. So like kind of had to adapt a little bit.
Yeah.
But like outside of that, it definitely like gave me an idea of like what I could be paying for stuff, what I could sell stuff for, and like really like what moves the best.
Got you.
So
it was like almost like a training session in a way. You know what I mean?
And another thing too is like you kind of have to. I learned that you kind of have to be content with not making money immediately. Like you can't just like once you start making money, you can't just start taking money home.
That's you got to reinvest it.
Being a business, like a business owner, like trying to start something, like you have to be content with living like you are not making money.
And I feel like that's the reason why a lot of people don't get bigger out of the sneaker game at first, because it's like, okay, you might have made like $200 off the shoe, but they go and spend it like soon as they made it. So it's like you really didn't make anything.
Well, yeah, like a lot of people like, and that's the thing. Like it's cool, like because a lot of people they flip shoes on release day to pay for their pair.
Yeah,
and that's like when I first got into flipping retail, that's what it was. It was like, all right, I'm gonna go try to buy a few pairs of these 4s or these 11s, sell them on GOAT, whatever, and then like just try to cover my pair.
I think that's how everyone starts.
No, seriously.
Like I feel like 9 times out of 10 resellers is straight up like, I want this for personal. I can get a second pair. I'm buying this to help pay for that.
And
pair.
it's zeroed out at this point. It's like I got it for free. You know what I mean?
And I feel like a lot of people, when you look at it from a business perspective, it's like, yeah, you want to see that you have that like less money into that. Mm-hmm. So obviously, it's ideal for us to like, if we're gonna keep something, try to flip something to get our actual cost down.
Yeah.
So
smart to like reinvest. Okay. Yeah. So what would you say to someone like trying to start their own, or someone like trying to get into the sneaker game? Like, say 12-year-old has like no idea, absolute nothing about it. What would you have advice to like someone just trying to resell shoes that has nothing, no idea of the culture at all?
It's difficult when you're not involved in the culture.
Yeah, I feel like you have to have somewhat of a footstep in.
Got you.
Whether it's working retail out of like a Finish Line, Foot Locker, Champs, or I mean going and working at a resale shop and like just helping out, just something to get your foot in the door. Because if you're just gonna start out cold, like that's how I feel like a lot of people burn out and just quit
because they don't understand it.
The problem is like if you come into something having no actual knowledge of it, and you're just going off of like what your perspective of it is, like you can definitely be mistaken because let's say like you see a black and white dunk resell, like that doesn't necessarily mean a gray and white dunk is gonna sell, especially if, you know what I'm saying, like if it's like a bad color blocking or something like that. Because like, but like something like we've been in it so long, we see a shoe. I mean, I see a picture of a shoe, I can tell you if that's gonna resell.
If it's gonna fly, I'll be
like, because if it's like a Jordan 3, that's a colorway like really similar to like a OG like white cement 3.
Yeah, like the UNCs are going crazy now.
Yeah,
like
that's what I'm saying. Like if it's a good color blocking and people are gonna rock with it, like it's gonna sell.
So do you ever buy shoes and plan to hold, like besides the bread?
Don't have to remind them again.
It just depends on the shoe.
Okay, got you. Because I feel like it's so hard to gauge sometimes.
Me personally, I don't really buy shoes to hold.
Got you.
Because either Nike or Adidas or whatever restocks them.
Always forget.
I mean, at any point in time, they could flip a switch and put out any shoe and kill the market.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've always just been the type to just get it sold and move on.
Yeah.
And if it's in my inventory, and I guess I'm holding it. Like I still have a pair of Mocha ones.
Okay,
since the release day. So it's like
you're holding them out to see what happens, kind of thing.
I just haven't sold it.
Gotcha.
Eventually it'll sell, and then
yeah.
But I don't know. I really don't buy shoes to hold. I'm more so of just. I prefer the
quick flip
over a slow dime.
Okay,
that's my plan.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely say like I've never. Like, I have bought stuff with intent of holding it. But, like, since we got the store, it's not like I'm sitting shoes aside.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I'd rather have it on the shelf. And, like, yeah, like, honestly, like, okay, in a year, I might make 100 on it rather than 60 on it. Or, like, I mean, obviously, stuff could go up even more than that. But at the end of the day, it's like, if it sells for my price and I'm making my money on it, that's super justifiable. Because if I didn't want to sell it for that price, then I wouldn't have priced it at that.
No,
there's definitely a business model of just straight up. There's dudes out there that'll pick one or three shoes, dump all their money into it, and sit on it until it hits a certain price. And once it hits that price, then that's when they'll off it. But I mean, if you're gonna go that route, you might as well have do another job.
Yeah, do stocks or some shit.
You know what I mean? Go have a job because like. If me today were to go buy like 100 pairs of something and I'm like, I'm just gonna sit on these, like what am I gonna do for the next?
That's a lot of next.
I mean, money, I would say as of right now, holding shoes. It's people used to say 6 months. I say it's probably at least a year now. Because everyone has the same mindset.
Initially, that's the thing. Like not everyone knew like what was going on. So like. I mean, 3 years ago, you could buy any Jordan model that came out, sit on it for 6 months, and make $100.
Yeah, per pair.
I mean, just about. Like, I mean, it was literally like if it was a good colorway or something, it was that simple. That's obviously changed now to where like I don't even know what a good example is, but like something like a court purple Jordan 13, like the black and purple Jordan 13s.
Yeah.
That shoe's gonna take a while to go up.
Yeah.
But like it'll probably go up, but it's not like that shoe isn't gonna be $100 more in 6 months.
You won't even notice the demand when it goes up. You're just like, one day it's just that price.
Another thing too is like ever since the pandemic and COVID is late shipments.
Yeah.
And so there will be a shoe that comes out, and we'll talk with stores and get an idea of how many are in the area.
Yeah.
And it's like, at first you're like, oh, okay, this is going to be a hot item. Like we're like Brotherhood ones.
Yeah.
Brotherhood ones, I was moving for what, 280, 270 on release day.
On release day.
On release day. And go on the apps right now, they're like 160, 170.
I knew those were going to take.
We bought a pair for 120.
Never thought that shoe was going to be like that. And that's because we talked to some retailers that were like, we only have a size run. We're the only ones that have them.
Yeah.
2 weeks later, all the late shipments came in to all the big retailers and market tanked.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And it's just like, it's one of those things that you just, unless you're that like plugged in, you're not going to know.
Yeah, it's like, that's some backdoor information. Yeah. So before we wrap it up, I'll say, what's a word of advice to someone who's, I guess, already in the sneaker world, like reselling, but like they're trying to take it to the next level? You know what I mean? Like they're like, I guess, say you in 2016,
right? Okay.
Before you really started moving pairs on eBay and really figuring out the algorithm. You know what I mean? Like, what's the best way to like stack your chips and like make sure that the business is growing? How do you grow from a sneaker reseller?
Just keep track of what you're doing so you can compare. I think that helps motivate me the most, is just seeing where I was at a year ago to where I'm at now.
Smart.
And then the next thing is just network.
Because
you never know who you're talking to, and you never know when they're going to come into play to either help you or and that's probably about it. Is just networking.
I feel that
networking's huge. Reinvest, obviously. Like if you like put as much as you can afford into something if you want it to be successful.
Gotcha.
Because like a lot of people want to like diversify what they're doing, and it's like, but like really, if you give your all to one thing, like you're a lot more likely to succeed than if you're giving 20% to 5 things.
Stay consistent.
Keep it simple.
Yeah.
So like stay consistent's the biggest. That's probably between networking, consistency is the next biggest thing, because resellers that'll pop in for one shoe release and then they'll skip out on like the next 4. We went to releases and didn't hit anything. Yeah. And then there's times where like we just stayed consistent. There'd be 3-4 weeks of like one pair. Yeah. And then that 5th week, boom, we got 25 pairs.
Yeah.
So it's like
a big thing too, and a lot of reselling is seasonal.
It feels like it's also when people have the most money too for some reason.
Christmas holidays.
Yeah. People don't mind spending it.
That's a big thing. A lot of people like they get into spring, summertime, and the releases are not as like fruitful as the fall winter releases.
Yeah.
So like that can definitely be demoralizing, but like honestly, like what stuff's actually selling for, like that's a great way to kind of diversify yourself. That's not as heavy as like fall winter.
Another thing with consistency is like it'll move quick. I'm like, I just want it gone, because it's like at one point I had a mix of like new shoes and a mix of used shoes, and it's like I couldn't move the used shoes.
That's so weird. I can't move the new ones
because I didn't really understand the used market.
Yeah. So were you pricing it too high, kind of thing?
I was pricing it too high or paying too much or something on the lines of that. And it was just that, or I was just buying stuff that I thought would sell that obviously isn't.
Yeah, check the market. It's a real thing.
So it's like with me being at new, it's just staying consistent and just I'm focused on that market. And I mean, we have friends that did new and used, and they're now strictly just used.
Really?
And it's just because that's what worked for them, and they were now they're staying consistent with it, and it's growing. So
and once you learn one or the other market, it's a lot easier to like just like contain yourself to one.
Because personally, I sell used shoes. You know what I mean? Just because like the new shoes are just hard to like get, in my opinion. If you're not plugged in, and to get them for like retail, and like you're not camping out or like doing the raffles, it's damn near like throwback. I was gonna talk about that, but we ran out of time. But yeah, it's just crazy now. But before we cut it off, anything you guys want to say to the camera? One last thing.
Shop VystKicks.
Shop VystKicks.
And Shop Curated.
Shop Curated. Also, rest in peace, Dalen and DF Kicks.
For sure.
Right,
yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I appreciate you guys for coming out. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Shop VystKicks. If you want the new and most improved, and Shop Curated. If you want the new, used, and vintage, you feel me? Coming on, check them out in Canton, Ohio. And I think that about wraps it up.
Awesome.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, sir.